This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY.
WDAY.
Here's Dom Izzo.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Second hour, fast-moving Wednesday show. We're back with you tomorrow for our annual Thursday Spectacular. Kevin Feeney will join as head coach of the Spuds to unpack the thrilling state championship game. I know defeat to Edina. We'll get to that. That's coming up on the show tomorrow. And NFL picks with my dad a day early. We'll do that on the show tomorrow. So looking forward to our annual Thursday Thanksgiving Spectacular. That's on the show tomorrow. Part of the big games this weekend, you have football the next few days. This is the first day, though, we don't have any football on today in like 40 days. We're going to get a MAC game today for some reason. But we've got plenty coming up this weekend, including 8 FCS first-round games. 5 of them will include Missouri Valley Football Conference team. One of them is the University of North Dakota. They're in. They'll face Tennessee Tech coming up on Saturday in Cookeville, Tennessee. Our guy Tom Miller from the Grand Forks will be on his way, spending Thanksgiving weekend in Cookeville, Tennessee. Joins us this morning. All right, let's go back to Sunday, or actually Saturday. Leaving the Alaris, what did your gut tell you about them making the 24-team field?
Yeah, it felt like it was a long shot just because, I don't follow the national picture as well as you do, or, some of the people that try to put out bracketologies. But when you and Jeff didn't have UND in the field, I believe Craig Haley didn't have UND in the field. I think Sam Herder did.
Yep.
So, it was, once I saw those three, those are kind of the 3 brackets I'm curious about. And, once I saw that, it was like, okay, maybe it's they're kind of a 50-50 situation. What really shocked me is that the committee said that they weren't one of the 4 teams on the bubble. So I don't know. I think it was a really important message to send to the FCS, though, in my opinion. Like, if you exclude North Dakota, you're sending the message, don't play Montana. You're sending the message, go play another layup and get to, a certain number of wins, which always, to me, felt like, wins shouldn't be created equal here. What are we doing?
This was so similar, I thought, to 2015, right? When they won 7, they had the FBS win that year and got left out on selection Sunday. That, okay, they're going to sweat this out again. But then digging into a little deeper after Kolpak and I did our show, and this is full disclosure, I'm like, I think UND might be more safely in than, not to the extent of what the committee had in, just that they might be on safer ground. But this is a whole new life now for them. They got to feel on cloud 9. They got a chance to play another football game.
Yeah, I think to some extent. I think there is just this level of, like, North Dakota seems to want to prove that they're not the team that collapsed again on Saturday. I think there's just kind of this, okay, we get an opportunity to go prove it. Maybe more so I get that vibe than like yes, we did it, celebratory vibe. It's just a kind of I think there's a bad taste in their mouths coming out of Saturday.
So let's go back, just unpack the Jackrabbit game, because there were moments there where UND had a chance to put the hammer down and frankly blow out SDSU, and a turnover, a touchdown, and then the game flipped completely after that.
Yeah, it was 20-7, and it just felt like, okay, if North Dakota can get one more play here, South Dakota State, because of their quarterback situation, it almost reminded me of like back in the Big Sky days. If you could get up on Cal Poly, you were going to really stress them because throwing the football was not what they wanted to do. I felt the same way with South Dakota State. If they were going to have to throw the ball a bunch, that was going to be really bad for them. Their best drive of the game is when they handed it off 16 times in a row and let poor Julius, what that kid,
Loffridge, yep.
Just let him get beat play after play after play. That was their best offense. And I think if they were going to have to throw the ball, that was going to be a really bad situation for them. So North Dakota not being able to pounce in that 20-7 situation, credit South Dakota State, kind of damning to North Dakota that, you lost to a team that for 95% of that game was deathly afraid to throw the football.
Just visiting with the guys afterwards, how down were they? I mean, this is another gut. I mean, season of gut punches. That might have been the toughest one to take.
Yeah, and it was just it's one of those weird situations where you don't have the finality in the locker room. Like, half of those guys are just sitting there like, did I play my last college football game? I think there was just, they were stunned a little bit. And I know North Dakota's coaches were very frustrated with the way that they finished up there. You get South Dakota State in 3rd and 8, and you had Montana in what 4th and 12, and you had South Dakota State in 3rd and 8, and there was just kind of a season of like one really key moment that you failed to execute, and it bites you.
Yeah.
So some new life here has been given to them, and I think that's what they're embracing here.
Let's get an injury update. What do we know on Gavin Zebarth and him playing on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean that's he dressed against South Dakota State, but I wonder if that was more of just a senior day nod. He didn't practice a ton during the week. Was wearing a non-contact jersey, so I see that he or his family has indicated on social media that
right.
he's cleared to play. I wonder if UND staff would have liked that to have been a little more quiet, but if I had to guess, you don't give the kid 12 carries coming back from a broken collarbone, but can he give you 6? Can he give you even 3? When he went out, North Dakota does not have, one of the worst situations for this UND offense is 1st and goal from the 4.
Yeah.
Which is very funny for a team that had the Quincy Vaughn, trick up its sleeve for the last 3 years. Now they, once Gavin got hurt, they just really haven't had an answer for short yardage situations. And did that cost them North Dakota State? Did it cost them South Dakota State? If UND could be really good inside the 10, boy, the record could look a lot different.
Correctamundo. So Tennessee Tech is out of the Big South, Ohio Valley. They went unbeaten against FCS teams. Their only loss was to Kentucky, and yet for some reason the committee dropped them. We were talking about this off air, that TTU was 7th, I think, in the last ranking, and then on Sunday they're 13th and playing on Thanksgiving. Nobody's really giving me a good answer on that one, but we were visiting off air that I think they thought they were going to be off this weekend and not playing a Valley team, certainly out of the chute at home.
Yeah, that's got to be a really tough draw. You're having a record year, and you think you get this weekend off, and then all of a sudden you get the team that North Dakota's record is what it is. But in terms of who can battle against the North Dakota States and the Montanas of the world, at the very least, UND's proven that is that team. Right. And so I'm not surprised at the Vegas lines I'm seeing out there that basically is making this game, pretty close to a 50-50 matchup. I'm very curious to see what their turnout's going to be.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've talked on this program a lot about Thanksgiving weekend being really rough when it comes to the crowd. And so, it sounds like there's some renovations going on at the stadium, which is going to make everybody be on one side of the field. I don't know if that's going to improve the atmosphere or make it even weirder, but I don't expect a massive turnout by any means.
They have a quarterback that we are familiar with, in Kakoa Vesperis, from former Eastern Washington quarterback. He was the guy who played for Eastern at U.S. Bank Stadium against the Bison. Now he's still going. He can move. Nimble guy. I talked with Eric Schmidt about this. We're going to have our conversation tomorrow. If he's similar to anybody, the only guy he came up with, Tom, was Bo Brungard. And he's not built the same as Bo, but he can certainly move around like Brungard can. And UND, frankly, was the best team defensively against Youngstown all year long.
Yeah, I think if North Dakota has to feel good about something, it's that Brungard didn't really hurt North Dakota. I mean, I say that, and he still probably had 70 yards rushing, but in his terms, that's not
correct. Well, and it was 28-0, right? And UND was up on Youngstown State. That game was completely lopsided to start.
So you've got Brungard that you've done well against. DJ Williams, Cole Payton didn't hurt UND with his legs so much. The Ayat at Montana can be very elusive. So, I mean, when we talk about, the number one strength of schedule in the FCS being battle tested, I think, having faced all these quarterbacks, he's got to compare to somebody. So I think UND's done a pretty good job to this point with mobile quarterbacks, which is funny because that was their Achilles heel.
Tell us about UND's quarterback. Jerry Kaminsky started a house of fire. Last 5 obviously did not play well. Where do you consider him at right now? We need you to go play well to win a game on the road in the postseason.
Yeah, I think that the UND is really trying to find how to get him to where he was at that 5-game winning streak. Obviously, part of that is who you're playing. South Dakota, South State, North Dakota State. But even the Murray State game, things didn't look as in sync as they did early in the year. And I think part of that is spreading the ball around. Early in the year, Jerry Kaminsky was very successful finding 10-plus guys a game. And I think, as the seasons went on, injuries have impacted this a little bit, especially at tight end. But I think North Dakota has to get back to really distributing the ball, allowing Jerry enough time to get through his reads to do that. But I think that's going to be the focus is can they get Jerry Kaminsky back to the version that can distribute the ball to anybody on the field.
We mentioned Z-Barth, Tom. What's UND's other health status at? Any other guys coming back? We know certainly secondary's gotten beaten up over the last 3 weeks too.
Yeah, the secondary is going to be a really big question mark just because you're down to, within your top 3, you've got 2 true freshmen, one who hasn't played at all, and Evan Klutt, really. So it's Bennett Walker hobbling around and Grant Nolan. And so at corner, they're in a tough spot. But in terms of guys that are getting back, you might see like a Braden Moore at defensive end who basically hasn't played in 2 years because he's had season-ending injuries early in the last 2 seasons. So they're hopeful to get him back. I'm not sure if they're quite there on Henry Theobald, who's another guy who had a really devastating injury that's coming back. So that they're beat up a little bit, especially at corner. And so I'll be curious to see how those guys hold up here.
I'm interested your thoughts on because we talked early in the year, I think maybe in October when UND was racking up wins, and I think I asked you about even to Schmidt being ahead of schedule. If they're able to get a playoff win in year 1, that's got to be light years above even what the most ardent booster would have thought when they hired him back in December of last year.
Yeah, I think, expectations changed after Kansas State, after Montana,
You're right.
Which were still losses, but expectations kind of changed. But yeah, I would say when he gets hired, if you say that you go and you win a playoff game against a quote unquote number 6 team in the country, I think that's going to be a success. I think that's probably why Eric Schmidt was probably happiest about this situation and getting into the playoffs is the fact that the other Dakota schools can't hammer your kids about
use them against them. Yep, correct.
I think
absolutely
the optics of being done right now versus having another game to play.
Absolutely.
Really
yep, you're totally right.
I think as I came into this year, my thought was UND has to feel like you just can't have this season really blow up to allow Eric Schmidt to implement the things he wants to implement. Because I think there are a lot of big picture things that he's doing well that are going to take time.
With signing day also being a week from today, it's a big deal as well. If those teams are still playing football, that's something I know I've seen it here. The coaches brag, hey, we're still playing. UND hasn't had an opportunity to brag about that. If they're able to win Saturday, that, hey, there's 16 teams left. We're still one of them. That, this is part of our incoming class. People might roll their eyes at me about it. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and we've talked about that. This year is going to be one that the vultures are going to come for your guys, and that's a good place to be in recruiting. If vultures aren't coming for your guys, then you don't have the right guys. Yeah. And right. I think that's where UND's at right now. Is they're white knuckling a few of these guys right on into signing day.
Is there ones you're especially that you think of that are off the top of your mind that might be ripe for picking?
Yeah, well, they lost the big tight end out of Wisconsin who flipped. The ones that have been on the radar forever have been the Beaver twins, the big defensive tackle boys out of Kearney, Missouri, which is the same high school that Grant Nolan, UND corner, is at. I think the Mac's been sniffing around a lot there. I think UND feels okay about certain Mac schools sniffing around on certain guys. But if the big state schools start coming around, you're in a tough place. And so, I think they're happy that that's a December signing period and not a February signing period.
Last thing, we were talking off air. Tennessee's a new state for you. You conquered the whole West in the Big Sky. How many do you have left then on the map?
Yeah, I think the last time I counted, it's been a while since I've crossed a new one off. I think like 35
There we
states
go.
that I've covered UND sports. So, yeah, Nicholls State got me Louisiana a few years back. Tennessee Tech gets me this one. Yeah, I got a few out east to cross off.
And you mentioned as well, do we have another tent locker room situation like the Nicholls debacle of 2019?
Yeah, and I ran into UND's equipment guy, Travis Caldwell. He wanted to make sure that I cleared this up, that UND will not be in tents, that they will be in, I believe it's the home locker room, but it's in a primary locker room.
Okay.
And that Nicholls State will be in, or I'm sorry, Nicholls State, Tennessee Tech will be in tents.
Wow.
So you and you'll be all right, but it was close to a Thibodaux, Louisiana situation.
Man, that was so bad. The flashbacks of you talking about that are crazy. Have a great Thanksgiving, bud. Safe travels, and we'll look forward to your coverage coming up on Saturday. Okay.
Sounds good. Good to chat with you. Take care. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too, bud. There he goes. Tom Miller joining us from the Grand Forks Herald. UND, Tennessee Tech coming up on Saturday at noon o'clock in the opening round of the FCS playoffs. I got an email actually about this. I wish I had a better answer that came in earlier. This is when Coach Polisic was here in studio asking about the timing of all the games, because as you saw it on our graphic there, either most are 11 a.m. or noon for the opening round. That's all controlled, honestly, by ESPN. Says maybe I missed it, but was there any reason given as why all the first and second round games are scheduled for noon local times? As a fan, it'd be ideal to be able to have them at a couple different times at least, like noon, 3, 6. Hey, I'm all with you there. I'd like to spread them out, but ESPN Plus, ESPN runs this thing in conjunction with the universities. I think there's some that, especially Thanksgiving weekend, if we have a chance to get a crowd, it's probably earlier than later in the day. They're probably thinking, because you look at these 8 Brookings, it's not going to be good. Vermilion, it's not going to be good. I'm going to tell you that right now. Youngstown is not going to be good, even though those teams draw fairly well. Those are not going to be good. Villanova is not going to be good. If you're telling me off the top of my head who's going to have the best home attendance this weekend of the teams playing, let's see. Southeast Louisiana, probably not. Abilene Christian, maybe. Let's put our money on ACU. When we come back on Monday, let's see if the best attendance of the weekend. They might have it number one there. But I don't have a better answer for it, because I know in the next round, and the Bison have a basketball game that night, a home basketball game with Northern Arizona, so they were hopeful that, hey, if we want people to go to both, you can do that now. You know, the football game's at noon. Game is over by 3. Go have some supper and then come over to the shack to watch Dave's team play at 7. That's kind of what they're hoping for on that particular day. But honestly, they're at the whims of most of the times of television and when they're playing. All right, let's break. We come back. We got to salute a first-time champion. University of St. Thomas has its first NCAA qualifier. We'll tell you about that. Hot Mic rolls on this Wednesday morning. We're back after this.